What's up? Listen to me. It's something I need to tell you real quick. It's okay for you to hurt their feelings. Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Darius. You've gone off the deep end. This is extreme. This is illogical. This is unspiritual. This is not scriptural. What do you mean it's okay to hurt their feelings? Listen to me. I want you to hear what I said, but I also want you to hear what I didn't say. I didn't say we should try to hurt their feelings. I didn't say we shouldn't care if people's feelings are hurt. But I am saying that there are times when it is not only okay to hurt someone's feelings, but it is necessary to hurt someone's feelings. Now watch this. I'm not saying you should do anything to hurt someone's feelings. I am saying that you should love people's future more than their feelings. And you're willing to say something that might hurt their feelings if it's going to save their future. I'm going to go so far as to say, this, that if you are not willing to love someone well enough to share a truth that may hurt their feelings but has the potential to save their future, you are not serving them, you are pleasing them. And sometimes when we serve people, and all of us should be serving people, right? I mean, whatever we're doing, it's an act of service. And so as a spiritual leader, I'm serving people, but also as an entrepreneur, I'm serving people because entrepreneurship is an instrument that God uses to deliver value. It is. It's an instrument that God uses to deliver value to other people. But it's service, man. It's serving people. And so we should all be serving each other. And sometimes when you're serving people, you get to please them. But sometimes serving people means not saying things or doing things that might be pleasurable at the moment. Now, I know you wonder, Darius, where this coming from? Where did you get this from? This is actually something I actually shared with our leadership team. I shared it with our leadership team on the church side. Because I was reading something that the Apostle Paul wrote. And so he's writing to believers in Corinth, and this is what he says. It was so profound to me. He says, listen, I wrote you earlier and I had to say, I'm paraphrasing. I wrote you earlier, I had to say some hard things. And some of the hard things that I had to say made you feel bad. And then he said, I started to feel bad that you felt bad. But then I saw something. I saw that the godly sorrow that you experienced actually produced repentance. What's repentance? Repentance is not an apology. Repentance is not remorse. Repentance is not, I promise I'll never, ever do it again. What's repentance? Repentance literally means U-turn, a change of mind that produces a change of direction. So if I'm heading in one direction and then I make a U-turn in the other direction, I have repented. And Paul said, I saw that godly sorrow actually produced a U-turn in you. It produced repentance. It produced the fruit of repentance. Guys, so I was sharing with our leadership team that we should be sensitive to people's feelings. We should never try to hurt people's feelings. We should never say anything without regard for people's feelings. But we cannot allow our desire, our intention to not hurt people's feelings to cause us to avoid not only saying a truth, but saying a truth the way it needs to be said. That is a completely different conversation, right? Because there are times when things specifically need to be said. There was this, the name of the book escapes me. Years ago, there's this book on just like leadership axioms. And one of them was one of the axioms was, what was it? It was say the last 10%. Say the last 10%. Now, you know how sometimes you're like, okay, you say that that 90%, but then that last 10% you hold back from. Now, I'm not talking about like saying the last 10% to be rude or saying the last 10% just to vent, right? To get things off your chest. But the author was saying like sometimes that 10% needs to be said because it clearly communicates what needs to be changed. And it's like you need to say that last 10% because you need to value their calling more than your comfort. You catch that, man? He said, I would just say the last 10% because you need to value their calling more than your comfort. Interesting. So we need to say what needs to be said, but then there are times we need to say it in the way it needs to be said. And I think you can say something in a way that's convincing without being condescending. I think so many times when we're talking about conversations, and there's so much conversation on tone. I mean, there's so much conversation about how to have conversations where you monitor your tone. And I think volume is important, but I think we need to be a little more flexible when it comes to tone, because I think tone articulates urgency. And so I think you can have flexibility in your tone without being disrespectful. Now, Darius, who's your example on this? Jesus is my example with this. Do you, like, when he said to Peter, get thee behind me, Satan, like, how do you think he said it? I mean, I don't know, but like, okay. So maybe he was monotone with that. Maybe he was. I don't know. I wasn't there. But what about this one? What about when he goes into the temple and he starts turning over tables and says, it is written. So watch this. One gospel writer says he turns over tables. Another gospel writer says he has like this cord that he's tied together. Right? So anyway, he's turning over tables. He's got this cord he's using. But this is what he says. He says, it's written that my Father's house should be a house of prayer. You have made it a den of thieves. He says, how did he say that? So there's got to be some flexibility in tonality. Saying something with grace doesn't mean monotone. I think for those of you who have children, we love our children, right? And so we're conscious of, we don't want to be condescending when our children are doing something that can damage and jeopardize their well-being. We don't want to be condescending. We don't want to be dishonorable or disrespectful, but that doesn't mean we're monotone. We're not monotone. If your child is swinging from the chandelier, there's going to be some urgency in your tone. And so I'm not saying adults or children. I am saying tone matters. And there are times where leaders have to say things that need to be said, all of it, including the last 10%, and say it the way it needs to be said. But when a person is so conscious of not hurting someone's feelings, sometimes you're robbing them of the godly sorrow that's actually going to be the catalyst for them experiencing a U-turn. Woo. It's like, yeah, it's loving people enough to say, I am not going to try to hurt your feelings, but the things that I'm about to say might hurt your feelings, but I love you so much that I'm willing to allow your feelings to be hurt for a day if I'm going to save you pain for decades. So in instances like that, it's okay to hurt their feelings. We're not trying to hurt their feelings. We're not intending to hurt their feelings. We are sensitive. We should be to people's feelings. We want our conversations seasoned with grace. So we want empathy in our conversations, yet still, there are some times where you have to say everything that needs to be said, and you've got to say it a certain way that may hurt their feelings, but it's going to spare their future. Man, I hope this helps. I'm going to ask you to do one favor for me. If this helped you in any way, or if you know of anybody that this might help, I want you to sit into it. I want to help as many people as possible thrive. I want you to forward this to them for me. All right. Take care.